Welcome to Flinders Beach. So this is later on in the afternoon from when we recorded at Home Beach. We're just over the top of the headland. So this is the end of the headland here. This is at a rock. And you can see the tide has pulled out a little bit more from when we were recording at Home Beach. Okay, so Flinders Beach is very similar to Home Beach. It's maybe a little bit more protected again because we're down from another headland. But it has a couple of kind of interesting features that I'll kind of point out if you can see them here. So we've actually got quite a large, what we call low tide terrace in front of us here. So this is this accumulation of sand that gets revealed at low tide, and we have our beach face kind of up here where we've got that gradient of waves that swash up and down at higher tides. But in the back behind all of these kind of, I was going to say tents, the kind of gazebo-like structures, you can see there's a barrier behind there, and there's actually a bunch of trees that have fallen out onto the coastline, and there's a road over here. So this shoreline, about 2 years ago, so we're recording this in 2021, so actually a bit more than that, so it was in the end of 2017. About 3 years ago, the shoreline was eroding into this part of the beach here. So in the last 3 to 4 years, we've had a build out of sand coming around these points and filling in this beach. And we've seen that at Home Beach. If we go to Cylinders, you would see it there as well. If you look forward from here where those cars are parked, this bit of sand is extending down in that direction, but behind those cars, the reason they're not going any further is an erosion spot of that beach. So this sand is slowly moving up towards at the moment, towards the west and then towards the north, and slowly filling in the beach over time. What we also see is that the vegetation behind here is very different to, say, Main Beach. If we have melaleucas, so these are your paperbark trees, this is your wetland tree. So rather than having a big, huge dune system like we see at Main Beach, what we have here are basically a small berm straight into wetlands. And so you can imagine if we get a cyclone bearing down from the north up here, that this beach here is actually pretty prone or exposed to something like overwash because it doesn't have these big dune structures. It's actually just a sequence of wetlands, and it's wetlands behind the beach, and maybe a few beach ridges or berms, but not those big dune systems. So despite being more protected from average waves, it might be quite exposed to storm events. We can also see behind the beach here these very large dunes. So that's all sand dunes, but the difference is this time that rather than being actively generated from this beach backwards towards the land, that's actually the back end of the dunes that are being generated at Main Beach. This is the trailing arm of those parabolic dune systems. And Main Beach is actually over the top of Stradbroke Island in that direction that I was just facing. And so these are the dunes that are actually moving back in that direction, the way my hand is moving, rather than being moved inland from the beach. So this whole beach here is actually an accumulation of Holocene sediment. It's been building out over the last few thousand years, and it has wetlands immediately behind it. And this is Flinders Beach. Very lovely place to come to. It's actually a well-known longboarding spot, so if anybody's kind of into that. And that's it for your final beach stop on this tour. So I hope you've learned something, and hopefully you make it out here one day. It's a very nice location to come to. All right, thank you very much.